And tonight on our Great American panel, he, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Fox News contributor, USA Today columnist, 5 co-host. He's the liberal guy with suspenders. Bob Beckel is back. He, a 2-time Emmy-winning actor for his work on Cheers. Murphy Brown, Sirius XM radio host, fills in for Howard Stern and has his own show. That's right. Jay Thomas is here. She, a singer, actress, author of the book, What Is He Thinking? What guys want us to know about dating, love, and marriage. Rebecca St. James. The person you need to talk to is him.
Because well, the person I did talk to is you in the book.
No, you interviewed me.
You for the book. And
yeah, I thought you didn't put in enough about me in this book.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Next book, I'll interview more.
She doesn't have you from cover to cover?
No, it was a very small part about me.
He spoke about purity.
I gave her a 1-hour interview.
You talked about purity?
Yeah, the importance of purity.
I've heard it all.
I bet you.
What we're thinking? Is that the book?
No,
what is he thinking? What are guys thinking about dating?
And you wrote a book telling people what guys are thinking.
I interviewed guys about what they're thinking and what they're thinking about purity. These are good guys. There are good guys left.
That's right.
And
I have a book out called The Guys That Lied to Rebecca.
I did not lie to Rebecca.
And I don't mean this to be rude.
Here it goes.
But it is not valuable to tell you the truth. It's only valuable to lie to you. So if you don't...
No. My husband, I just got married 7 months ago. And
well, that's a whole other deal. But there's
trustworthy.
There's no value in telling someone the truth that will make you look bad. So there's great value in lying.
But what about honesty?
Exactly right. Well, Hannity's an honest guy, except he was for his politics, which are not
horrible.
Horrible politics. I mean, he's honest about how horrible they are. But I'm not sure that the mass of men necessarily would view him as the kind of mind that you might think about when you're
Thanks a lot.
considering...
Wait, can I ask you a question?
You're the one who opened up this line of questioning.
Wait a minute. You talk about your faith. You and I talk about it at length.
Right.
And you're saying that there's no guy that can be friends with a woman that's good-looking and not want to have sex with her. Basically is what you're saying, or try to.
That's what you're saying. I would say that...
For the first 8 years, that's true.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
a time, though. It takes a long time.
I don't know many.
You can be friends for like 7 or 8 years before you get over
go ahead,
wanting
Rebecca,
to be with her.
But what I am saying, and this is what the book, really shows, is that there are good guys left, because I married an amazing one. He waited for me 28 years old, and I interviewed other guys like him that are committed to purity.
Why do we make fun of people because they follow their faith and, let's say, they wait for that person until they get married? And we're going to talk about Tim Tebow later. Here's Tim Tebow. He believes in God. He expresses it, and people in the sports world are mocking him and telling him to shut up. I mean, if he put on earrings and had tattoos and got arrested for shooting himself in the leg, we'd probably praise him.
And I'll tell you how it's changed. I believe whether he believes in God or not isn't the point anymore. This guy is positive. He has a great attitude.
Yeah.
He's in great shape. No, forget role model. I have no interest in my sons being like Tim Tebow. None. But Tim Tebow has a great attitude. And so for himself, he drives himself to a level that is fantastic. And I know other people that do it also.
Yeah, and that's...
Whether it's God or whether he believes in Buddha or whatever.
But don't we make fun of people that have good values? Like if a guy tells you he's 28 and a virgin, you're going to laugh at him.
That's right.
Well, I'm
and
sad
you're going to laugh
for you.
at him.
I'm sad for you that you would laugh at him.
No, wait, say that. Why?
I'm sad for you that you would laugh at him, and I'm sad actually that you as a parent wouldn't want Tim Tebow to be a role model for your kids, because actually I think most people that are watching tonight would want a Tim Tebow to be a role model for their kids.
He's an outstanding,
he's an outstanding young man.
I also don't buy a car withold driving it first.
No, here's the old
you don't get married and you don't learn about sex by not having it.
What about having no baggage coming into your marriage? What about having no other experiences with anyone else so you can start with a clean slate?
Suppose it's really bad. Can you get divorced
just for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we go back to Tebow just for a second? People of faith, I find it despicable that they would put Jesus on the back of NFL jerseys, that he would put...
Why?
Because I think it means the one and the only one that matters in this world.
Tim
and the
Tebow
idea to bring that down to the level of the NFL, or that somebody said on my show today that Jesus must have been in the locker room with Tim Tebow, is ridiculous. I mean, Christ, the idea that the Savior would somehow
Who did that? Who put Jesus on the back of their jersey?
Fans. Not Tim Tebow.
Not Tim Tebow.
Can I ask a question? But Jay is honest and right. We do make. He would think somebody that's 28 years old and a virgin, guy or girl, right, is weird.
Yes.
No, not weird. Be careful.
Why?
Because you may get into a situation and then you find that you marry someone that's odd in the sack, doesn't like sex, which is a huge part of being together, and then causes, in almost every marriage, causes some sort of a discussion, let's say. Let's not make it negative. But over a lifetime, I believe you should have as many experiences as you can, as long as they aren't evil.
What are the two most difficult things in marriages? Finances and sex.
That's right.
And those are two things that you...
And if you're a conservative, don't marry a liberal.
Well, no, that's ridiculous.
That's politics.
No, that's ridiculous. You're
Rebecca,
marrying up.
you don't have to raise your hand.
Can I just say that married sex, and I've never been with anybody other than my husband, is wonderful. It's so cherishing and beautiful. Well, and I'm so glad I don't have any memories with anyone else, and
Rebecca,
I'm glad my husband doesn't have anybody to compare me to.
That's fine. We just don't want anybody telling us or our kids to do what you're doing.
She's not proselytizing you.
But she said, why wouldn't you want your kids to be like Tim Tebow? Well, my kids would die of boredom if they were Tim Tebow.
Well, what do you want them to be, like Bob Beckel? Do you want him to be like the guy that runs the...
Excuse me. First of all, does anybody think Tim Tebow didn't have sex when he was in Florida?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Tim Tebow is not saying that God is making him win. Yeah. And I really enjoy him as an athlete.
I do, too.
But I believe he is driven by a passion that comes from wherever, and by the ability to prepare for these games.
And I think he believes it's his faith where he gets that energy from. And I'll give him that. But
we got to take a break. And
the fact that they've turned it into an NFL version of the original one is obscene, as far as I'm concerned. It's not good Christianity.
More with our
good money making.
Yeah, more with our great American panel right after the break.
There ain't no good Samaritan.
All right, we continue with our great American panel. Beckel telling stories in the break. All right, here's the liberal media. Now, I'm not going to mention Ayers or Wright because you'll have a fit on the...
You just did.
No, but in this sense, the media gave Obama a pass, especially on Ayers. So here it is. They're having this debate, and so they ask the candidates about infidelity. All right, they know every other candidate but Newt Gingrich has been married to the same person for X number of years, whatever it happens to be. So they go to every other candidate, Newt, and while they're doing it, they're showing pictures of Newt reacting to the other candidates, pictures of his wife. Now, you know that this was a setup by the media to try for maximum humiliation so that they would never do this to a Democratic candidate, because if they would, the next debate with Obama, they'd ask him about Bill Ayers, show video of Bill Ayers in the corner of the screen, and they'd say, why did you hang out with this unrepentant terrorist and give speeches with this guy?
I think you're right about the media picking on Newt on that, but the biggest people picking on Newt are Republicans who are trying to beat him. The people that are putting the money and the millions and millions of dollars to try to beat this guy are Republicans. It's nothing to do with
it's a Republican primary at this point, Bob. So
it is a group that are now conspiring to stop Newt Gingrich. As simple as that. Now, what they're going to get, I think, I can understand why they're nervous about Newt Gingrich, but the idea of Mitt Romney as president of the United States is about as frightening a thought as I could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
I think Santorum made a really good point, and he was saying that trust is incredibly important with your president. It's like a marriage, a president with the country that he's serving. It's like a marriage, and there's got to be trust there. But, I was incredibly impressed with Newt, and I went into that debate not necessarily being a Newt fan. I knew about kind of some of the choices he'd made in his life, but oh my goodness, he was so strong. He made the others, I don't know, look inexperienced in that kind of setting. And you know what?
What do you think?
I think that as Democrats, we would love Newt Gingrich to get the nomination.
Why?
Newt Gingrich is a fat, grumpy white guy. He is going to go against a black, hip basketball player. It's like,
who has seemingly failed the country, though.
It's like Michael Jordan against Chaz Bono. It would be
You don't
the
think
most
Newt
amazing...
is very well spoken?
Oh, I think he's fabulous, but I also think that he's not the person that I want to be my president. I don't care if he sleeps with everybody in the studio. That has nothing to do with anybody's ability to lead.
You're saying that the country would take 4 more years of $5 trillion in debt of Obama.
Right.
That the country would take high unemployment. That we'd have failed foreign policies, a guy that calls us lazy and arrogant.
What are you, crazy?
That's right.
The best foreign policy president we've had since...
By the way, why don't you start saying we're weak now?
Bin Laden.
Why don't you say we're weak on foreign policy as far as the
Have you guys noticed the Muslim Brotherhood has taken over Egypt? And Sharia law is... Well, wait a minute. He was supporting when we had a far better relationship with Mubarak.
Who was a dictator and a murderer.
Okay, so what's better, the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yes.
They want to blow up Israel.
But you get what you get when you get a democracy.
It's not going to happen in Egypt.
I get it. But so we'll take the hip president that plays basketball, to quote you, versus the guy that actually might be able to get us out of the mess by using sound economic principles.
To be honest, I think Mitt Romney's a better businessman than Newt Gingrich.
Well, that's a different issue.
Well,
I was reading that exact same thing that you're highlighting. I think it was in the New York Times yesterday. People are less concerned about a pristine-looking president, and they more want to get out of financial crisis. That's what America
That's
is
right.
doing.
But what they don't want to do, the Republican Party has moved so far to the right, and Newt Gingrich has moved with. Newt used to be more of a moderate and reasonable conservative.
Newt has never been called a moderate in his life.
Oh yes, he was back when I gave him his first $5,000 check back in the '70s with a group. It was a liberal
drinking
group
back then.
Wait a second.
what did you buy from him?
Nothing. But the point is that Newt Gingrich has been a moderate conservative, and he's like Romney. They're trying to move over to fit into this Tea People party, which is so far to the right and so far to the fringe and so far out of it that the country will never elect a president.
You're both misreading. This country's suffering, and they now want an adult back in charge instead of this inexperienced, incompetent failure we have there now.
You see the latest poll? Who do they still blame for it? It's amazing to me. I don't think it works.
What?
You know, getting back to your original question, I believe that Newt has apologized. I mean,
you think the country you accepted it?
I mean, I do. You know, I
he
think
wrote
he's
a book,
new man.
Rediscovering God in America. Did a movie on the Pope. So obviously
he's
something's
had
turning.
a massive conversion experience. Has spoken openly about that. There needs to be a redemptive.
I think women
redemption
do not like this guy, and he looks like the.
I'm a woman. I like this guy. I believe that there's been true redemption here.
And newly married and still believe in the joys of matrimonial sex. Give yourself.
Oh, good grief.
But I think that Newt Gingrich looks like the kind of guy that women have to be nice to move up in the world, and I don't think they'll vote for him.
Sunday, another last-minute thriller for Denver Broncos quarterback Tim Tebow. While he continues to credit his faith, some appear offended by it. We'll debate that next.